to lead an army of one woman.
So we have to take a lot of pain, a lot of effort to teach children how to get along with one another.
Your raw material is money.
Of course.
But it is not your money.
It is not
That
yours.
is the biggest challenge. So if you do not fear God, you will end up misappropriating this money and taking it to be your own. Yet it is just what you're using to do the work that you're doing.
So ego is very dangerous to me, and we should avoid the extremes.
This program exists to equip, challenge, and empower men to expand their family leadership capacity for national transformation. That is why this program exists, to equip, empower, inspire, encourage men so that they can expand their family leadership capacity for national transformation. You are very welcome to the Inspired Family Leader Program with Samuel A. Bakutana, your host, a certified executive coach, an award-winning leadership consultant, a global speaker, an expert team builder, and an author. And today, we are talking about books. I lead a team at Inspired Leaders International as the Chief Executive Officer. And we interface many different people who are seeking for knowledge, who want to improve themselves, who want to equip themselves to be able to be more productive, to be more fruitful, so that their life can be more impactful, influential, and significant. And one of the biggest things we always tell them is to seek the right information. Look for the right information. They say information is power. Well, they say knowledge is power. And recently, a number of people have been saying knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is the one that is power. But you see, you cannot apply the knowledge you have not acquired first. Books are a wonder. Books are a miracle. As an author of 21 books so far, as at July 2024, I know that leaders are readers, and readers end up becoming leaders. If you want to really lead successfully, you have to be a reader. Have to be a rapacious reader, voracious reader, one with no excuse about reading. And if you know you are already a reader, I can assure you, whether you think you are a leader or not yet, you are going to have to lead the way in one way or another, simply because of the power of the knowledge you are acquiring through reading. Last week, my 21st book came out, titled Someone to Love, The 7 Pillars in the Quest for Your Beloved Marriage Partner. I wrote this for the young adult men and women who are searching for the right partner. I've written Blossom in Your Job and Business. I've written Busy and Loving It, How to Enjoy a Happy Life Amidst Stressful Situations. I've written Fresh Apples for Single People, The Old Man at the Wedding, Ability to Produce Wealth, to mention but a few. And I have read many different books. Today we are focusing on how we can develop that reading culture, especially among our children in our homes. And so wherever you are, right now, call your son, call your daughter, and especially call your brother and your father and your husband, because we want to specifically speak into the life of men who are the family leaders to ensure that they develop this culture within the home. And with me today is none other than a fellow reader, a father, a husband, a professional, a marriage counselor, a parenting coach, the executive director of Hope Regeneration Africa, my brother, Mr. Dickson, Tumuramye. Where I come from, we would say, put your hands together and welcome Dickson. My brother, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, sir.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Happy to see you once again.
Thank you so much. It's a joy to have you here once again.
A great pleasure.
Because we've had you before in this program, and here you are again.
A great pleasure for me, surely. How are you doing?
I am doing well. I am quite tired physically today because over the last about 7 days I've been really up and down, empowering many people in different places.
We see you.
I was in Usoga on Sunday. On Monday I was empowering AMREF senior management team. On Tuesday I traveled to Churuhura. On Wednesday I was speaking to couples in Rushere. On Thursday I came back. On Friday I was empowering the staff of internal audit at Uganda Revenue Authority, which was yesterday. So today I spent the whole day at home relaxing, resting. So I still feel some tiredness, but within me I am strong and well by God's grace.
As a man, we must keep moving on and hustling and doing all these things so that we can make life better.
Indeed.
So
indeed.
I think it's the best way to go.
Yeah.
And especially when we are still young.
I hear you. Please look into the camera right there and introduce yourself to our viewers and say hi to them as we roll the ball.
Yes, to all our viewers, good evening and praise the Lord. My name is Dickson Tumuramye. I am happy to be here. I am a married man. I'm married to Prim Tumuramye, and together we have 3 children, 2 lovely boys and 1 beautiful girl. Professionally, I work with, I'm an executive director of Hope Regional Africa, where we take care of children, vulnerable children that I need surely. So we give them school fees, we give them school materials. When they are sick, we make sure that we also give them medical assistance and also help them to be trained in spiritual life. Besides that, also I work at Uganda Christian University, where I serve as head of Honors College. That's a leadership development program for students. We train students to be better leaders. So every student who has leadership skills, we make sure that we put them in this program for 2 years, and then we give them different skills that can make them better leaders for today and for tomorrow.
All right.
Yes.
Great. So our topic today is developing a reading culture
Yes.
among our children. Somehow, some people feel that reading is quite a wastage of their time. As we begin this conversation, why does such a mind exist in your opinion?
I think because as we are growing up, especially for us who are the millennials and Gen X, I know, the old people, it was not in our culture to be reading. We've grown up reading just especially for academics. We focus our children to read for academic excellence, not for any other reason.
Not success in life.
Not success in life. Sometimes also maybe from church and let me say from the religious perspective, we only read to either to understand and read the Bible and interpret it and memorize scriptures.
Yes.
I think the Muslims also use the Quran to help their children to also learn how to use the Quran for spiritual matters.
Yes.
But this kind of reading as a hobby is not in us because we have not been trained to read like that. So I think that's why we don't like reading. And it's a very good thing that when you really develop this culture in you, it's very easy.
Okay, so in other words, you see this from an angle of culture, that this mindset of feeling like reading is a wastage of time is more of a cultural thing, that we haven't grown up having that around us.
It's not in us because as we are growing up, you don't see it as a reading. First of all, even some, like for example, when you are growing up from the village,
yes,
there are no reading materials or resources where you can go and say, let me go to a library or something and I get this book. Even that lack of exposure for you to get that opportunity of knowing that, hey, you can go here and borrow a book and read.
Yeah.
So we don't have that opportunity or reading resources around us. So you don't see value in reading here.
So people only read in order to pass exams. And
pass exams. If you don't read for exams, then why you read?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe that's where you need to help our viewers, especially the adults who are viewing right now. Since many people read simply to pass exams, now once they graduate, why must adults keep reading?
You see, knowledge is acquired. Actually, you made a good statement when you said you cannot apply what you have not acquired.
Yes.
So like knowledge is acquired. And for you to acquire knowledge is always through learning. And learning is a process, and we keep learning on a daily basis. So for you to get more, like to acquire more knowledge and skills and understanding, and get exposed, especially to what is trending in this world, you have to be a reader.
Yes.
For example, I'm sure you showed us the many books that you have published. It's because you're a good reader. And the more you read, the more you get an understanding, the more you get more, you may get knowledge, and the more you get exposed. And so this gives you an opportunity to even write more. But if you don't read, you cannot even write those many books. If you don't read, you cannot understand what is happening, and you can't develop even the culture of reading in you. So those who have graduated, since you are reading for academics, now that you have finished, you need to read other books which are going to help you in your profession.
So for reading for professional growth.
For professional growth, but also for your personal growth besides your profession. Because you need to acquire knowledge that is going to help you become a better performer, become a better actor, become a better person in understanding, get more exposed to more knowledge beyond your profession, so that you're all around in whatever you're doing.
Yeah, so that when people are having a conversation,
you
don't keep quiet because you have nothing to say, you only keep quiet because you don't want to speak.
Yes. If you need to be knowing what is trending, you need to be knowing what is happening, who is the best author that sells better, what is helping me to become a better person in whatever I'm doing daily. So reading becomes part of our lives, especially if you want to acquire more knowledge and skills in the area of your professionalism. If you're a leader, you need to know, for example, if you're a manager, you need to read books which can help you to be a better manager. For me, who is always writing about parenting and marriage, I always read a lot about parenting, about marriage. And also keep looking forward to new information which I can also pass out to people so that they can know. So whether you're young or you're old, reading should be part of you if you want to become a better person.
That's important. And now when we bring it to the family level, you realize that generally there is a poor reading culture among most families. In your view, what causes this?
I think basically, as what I said, it's a culture which has not been impacted in us or developed in our children. And because we also grew up without seeing this happening in our families, so we don't think it's very serious. We don't have role models. Not even our parents are role models. Some of them, yes. Of course, some of them, they don't see it as a serious thing. And yet, when you have grown up in a family where reading is part of you, maybe, for example, if you had your dad who always came up from work with newspapers or with a book, or if they take you to a store book and they tell you look for a book that you can read. If you go to a supermarket and you're asking your child, can you look for a book which you can take and read, it helps the student to have that spirit in them to always look forward to reading. But now, because it's not in us, you don't take it as serious as it should be. Others don't know that even reading can be a hobby. We think of other things which can make it hobby, but I know that reading can be part of your hobby. As you love chilling, as you love traveling, as you love watching TV or being on social media, you can also make your reading part of your hobby, but it's not in us because you feel like, especially when people look at like a big volume of the book, say, all this. Sometimes when I send my articles to people, some say, God, this one is too long. Will I manage to finish it? So people are not looking at the knowledge in what you've written. They are looking at how big, how long, how much will it take me. Yes.
And talking about that, one time I made a tremendous simple research on Facebook. I went there and wrote, and I said, it's been a pleasure to serve my country, Uganda, over the last many years. And now a new opportunity has come up for me to be Uganda's ambassador abroad. And so I'll be relocating with my family. It will be really a pleasure for me to now represent my country at that global stage. As I wrote, then when I came down, I said, anyway, I am only daydreaming because I just wanted to see who reads up to this point. I would like you to know that this is not true. I am still here in Uganda with you. Let me tell you what happened. If you go to that very post today, you will find there about 700 responses.
Yes.
And out of 700 responses on that post, about 660 responses were congratulating me.
Not reading up the end.
I'm telling you.
They got accepted along the
You
way.
can just go there and search on my page, somewhere Bakutana on Facebook, and look for where I wrote about being an ambassador of Uganda.
And everyone was clapping.
I got so many congratulatory messages. It was just some social research to see how far people read.
Yeah.
Others even followed me on WhatsApp in my
Congratulating
inbox and sent and say, hey, so where will you be exactly in the UK?
So when are you leaving? When are you traveling?
One of my friends from Western Uganda, from the Midwest, came to my inbox and said, you know, I have been producing coffee and it's good quality. If
Strategy.
you reach there, you can help me find some business partners.
Making a strategy, making strategy. That was very
Because I
interesting.
had become an ambassador
An
on
ambassador of
Facebook.
Uganda.
So when you talk about reading long things,
Yes.
and, yeah, it's a
I
big
know,
challenge.
we grew up knowing this and hearing where they said, if you want to hide anything good from an African, put it into writing,
Which is sad.
which is sad.
Somebody recently changed it a little bit and said, and if you want to also hide something from a European, just put it in marriage. Which is quite.
It's quite, yeah.
Anyway, so let's now get very specific to the children. How does reading, especially reading outside academics, contribute positively, contribute significantly to the life of our children?
Good. No, as we are training our children, or as we are nurturing our children to grow up, we need to know that reading without considering the academics part of it helps them a lot because that's where they get a lot of intellectual ability. It stimulates their mind to become critical thinkers, become problem solvers, and that also helps them to become empathetic. Empathetic, yes. Because and also it also helps in their emotional intelligence. Because as they are reading, especially some of the books, you could be reading like about a character.
Yes.
Someone like the way you have talked about marriage, and maybe someone is talking about his or her story of how things did not go well, and how someone was able to overcome, or how things basically couldn't work well.
Yeah.
So as you read this story, you're able to know, so if it were me, how would I have done this better?
Put yourself in the shoes
In
of the character you are reading about.
Of the other person. But also, as we are looking at this reading culture, how it helps our children to be positive. Every time a child is reading something, he's also trying to become creative and innovative. As you read this thing and imagining how this thing happened, there's something that happens in the mind of the child. So to become thinking, how can I also become like this person? Or how can I write? Or how does this happen? Does it even happen? So there's that kind of critical thinking that happens in the child's mind, and he looks forward to do something either in the same way or better, or he tries to do self-discovery and find out something.
Yes.
That brings an element of creativity and an element of innovation. And before you know it, that's why you see people doing great things than someone who does not read. So it exposes the child to better opportunities of going beyond what they are seeing just around them. Now you can imagine someone who read about your article that you become an ambassador. Someone could have known. So that means anyone can become an ambassador, or something could have triggered their mind to know, hey, I can also become an ambassador, or maybe how did it happen? Like someone wants to know how can one become an ambassador. And you know, especially with our children currently, the Gen Z, for them they are good at even asking and trying to inquire more from internet.
They ask teacher Google.
Yeah, teacher Google. How does now it is AI?
Now it is AI.
Yeah, which has also simplified their way of doing things about some, of course.
Thereby also making them quite lazy.
Yeah, quite lazy, and they're thinking and what, yeah. So they're able to know, how can I do this? Again, it also helps it's another alternative way of helping our children to grow other than keeping on gadgets. You know,
screens.
Screens. Our children love gadgets so much that if you don't control the screen time, it can damage them a lot. You know, I have ever come here and we have ever talked about the dangers of digital era. So, for you to help your child to not be so much on screen every time, or use these electronic gadgets, if you teach them to read, give them different things that you can read as an alternative way of helping them not to get addicted to media or to addicted to era.
So in other words, the reading culture in a way helps the children in our homes not to be addicted to digital facilities.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah,
because it's an alternative thing that you can give them to and of course, you know, also with the digital gadgets can also create distraction from our children.
Yes.
and cause a lot of disruption in whatever they are doing because of whatever they are watching, especially if it's not good content. But when you give them a good book which they are reading, it will inspire them. I don't think it can be part of distraction. And even the rate of addiction or of reading addiction cannot be dangerous like the one for screens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, looking at that being the truth that it really helps them, then one wonders what usually stops them from being good readers. What usually stops our children from being good readers besides the aspect of culture that they haven't been equipped to read? What else? What stops our children from being good readers?
I think first of all, we don't have enough reading facilities and even resources
In our homes.
Yes. And even around us. Leave alone for us who are here in Kampala or in cities and urban centers. Back in the villages, back in rural areas, these reading facilities are not there. There are no public libraries. And even I think even in Uganda, we don't have so many public libraries. There are very few. Yes.
We don't.
And even also accessibility of these resources is limited.
The reading material.
The reading materials. So that's one thing. And also, we parents are not role models to their children. Some
parents themselves don't read.
Yes, don't read.
Now, wait a bit. When was the last time that you read something as a man? When was the last time you held a book yourself and started to read it so that your children can see from you and want to grab a book also? Which book are you reading at the moment? Facebook? That's the book you are reading. There is no doubt about the fact that our children will not be readers if they don't see us reading. And so what he has brought out is extremely critical. That if the children don't see us as parents reading, they also won't read.
Perfect. Yeah. So it's us to cultivate this culture in our families, that be a reader. And even if you're not good at reading, but because you want to make sure that your children are good readers, not just for only academics, or maybe actually another thing that as they are reading, it also helps them in their literacy. It helps them also to develop language and communication.
Okay.
Because they're able to develop vocabulary, they're able to develop to know grammar, they're able to know learn a lot of speech. Some of them even know how to speak.
Communication abilities.
Speak very well, yeah. So these skills can help your child when they are still very young and even as they are growing up. But even as you keep growing, even you don't even know how to write. So even if you don't like reading you as a person, but just for the sake of your children, for the sake of your family, you can have a library at your home.
Okay.
Whatever you get, whatever newspaper you get, whatever book you get around you, or even looking for those materials you can give your children to read, and let them read them and develop this culture. So be a role model. If maybe you both of you like reading at home, but you're not at home, you can have someone who can be there to read for your children. Even storytelling. And if you don't have a book that you can give your child to read, let them use a Bible. A Bible is always a good thing for those who are Christians anyway. A Bible has so many good stories that you can sit down and you read for your child. If you're looking at leadership, you can read the story of King David and King Solomon, how he was able to become a good leader.
Oh, Nehemiah, how he managed to rally together the whole team to build the walls of Jerusalem in 52 days, record time, project done.
You're looking at overcoming challenges, maybe adolescent challenges. You can look at Joseph in the Bible.
Oh, Job.
Yes, or Job as a man.
Oh, Paul,
even
the way
Paul.
he was hit.
Yes. These stories are there for us. If you want to, you can even read about the life of Jesus Christ. The man was not educated, but he became a life changer.
About business.
About business.
Ecclesiastes 11,
Yes.
1-6.
Yes.
It talks about investment avenues.
Talk about teamwork. Still, chapter 9 talks about teamwork. If you that you cannot do anything alone, two people are better than one. If one
Talking
falls
about talent and giftings.
And giftings.
Romans 12, and 1 Corinthians 12.
So you see now, if you don't have any resource in your house, let's begin with the Bible. At least for me, I was like it. I grew up in Sunday school.
Yes.
So I was able to learn how to read when I was still very young. Because when we go to Sunday school, they would help us to read the Bible. And then also we have to memorize scriptures. You have to do meditation. So this helped me to read as early as when I was very young. But I didn't know that actually that would help me to become a better reader and even love writing. That right now I'm a columnist with New Vision and a guest writer with Daily Monitor. For those who follow my articles in New Vision every Wednesday in Mwarimu, you've seen what I write about. But also I share them on social media a lot. And also on my blog. This is just free information I just give out for free. I don't sell it. So it is when you help your child to learn how to read, before you know it, the child will become better than the way they are now. And they could also write books like you. They will not, maybe they may not be they will not become publishers, but they become better researchers. Because also research is about reading and writing.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is where the rubber hits the road, and you have beautifully started on it. What are some of the practical steps, therefore, that we can take in order to develop a reading culture among our children? You've so far mentioned two critical things. One, be a role model yourself as a parent, so that the children can look at you and want to do what you're doing. And this happened to me recently when I got a book, sat in the sitting room and started reading. Then my wife came into the sitting room. She sat in the chair and started reading some other book. My son came and he found the two of us silent, looking in the books. He went to the shelf and picked a book and sat in the corner and started reading. And when my daughter also came to the sitting room, he saw three people reading. She also got a book. I remember now, do we say I X'd it? I tweeted about it.
Yes.
When I said, men, just to do and keep quiet.
And keep quiet.
And the family will follow. So number one, you've talked about being a role model.
A role model.
Number two, you've talked about having home libraries. What else? What are some of the other practical things that we can do in order to develop a reading culture in our homes?
And another thing, you see how you came together as a family. Much as it was not intentional, but at the end of the day, all of you came together and started reading. So even we can also make this as a habit in our family. That every time we have a book, we can always agree that we are going to be reading this book, maybe a chapter in a week, and then we come and review it. So that every family member knows that we are reading this book, and we are going to review what we read and what we understood. Maybe if all people are busy, you can choose one person to read that chapter and come and share what they read. Also, take your children to libraries or bookstores or supermarkets where there are these books, and let them go and choose the book that they like, or maybe it aligns with their interests, because some books may not be in line with your interest. And these students also always have interests. But even if they don't have interests, just take them there and expose them to these books in their shelves and say, read about these books. Just read through. Just pick a book and read through. Look at the author. Look at his biography and what he's saying, or autobiography, and just let them just read and look at the book. Maybe as they look at this picture, or maybe the image of the person and the title of the book, they might get interested. So take them there and expose them to these many books. Before you know it, they will have, or they will choose one book. At the time when we went to a bookshelf and one of the bookstores, and we took our children to a bookshelf, and they looked at so many books, and one of them picked a football because he had a lot of passion in football, and he has read that book and it has inspired him. So I think we can also do the same. Again, another practical way of helping our children to read is that you just always, especially when they are still very young, create time for them and read them a story from the book.
Okay, so the very young ones, you can read for them
stories. Yes, some stories. Or you can even buy them these picture books. Or even a Bible, which has pictures. Because children are more visual, the ones who are still young, they are more visual than audio. So give them these, we just show them the pictures, tell them the stories. There was a man called Samson in the Bible, he did A, B, C, D. Or just have a storybook and read through, and then tell them this storybook is talking about A, B, C, D. And for them, as long as you're just reading them that story, it inspires them, and they keep looking forward to also read another story tomorrow.
It becomes the movie they enjoy by, quote unquote, watching the movie in a book.
Yes.
Through reading.
It's through reading. For the adults, as long as you just encourage them to keep reading. Also, actually, another element is encouraging the children to read. Inspire them to read. Either by bringing those reading materials at home, or tell them, by the guys, there's this thing. I was reading this book, and this is what it says. Don't you think you need to read such a kind of a book? Or just say, you need to become a better speaker. You need to become a better communicator. You need to become a better leader. Do you know how you can manage your finances very well? I think you can read this book about financial management. There's this lady who has written about this. I think you need to read about this. So that you discourage them from being so much on social media And you encourage them to be actually in reading these books. It will help them to get that spirit of loving to reading now and then. And if you have, I said that if you don't have time at home, you're never there. You have a caretaker at home, that house manager. You can also ask him to always read for your child if you're not there.
That is if he or she knows how to read.
Yes, of course, if he or she knows how to read.
Because in many homes, there are people who are the house helps. There are people who have failed at life, who dropped out of school, in elementary school.
But these things are changing.
They definitely are changing, but I don't know, maybe I am misinformed, but my opinion is that majority are still those that are not able to be of any intellectual help to our children.
But at the homes where people are not staying with only their children and maids, they have other people whom they are staying with and who could be reading. Or also you can use the children, the older children to read for the young ones. Or if the two parents are busy, at least not all of you can be busy. I mean, not all of the two parents can be busy at the same time. Let one artist be there, and it should be a joint role for both of you. A collective responsibility for the parents.
Yeah.
Say that, you know what, we are going to be reading this story for the children. So if I'm not there, can you do it? Create like kind of a timetable or a time framework where they know at this particular time we will be reading. So they know, like the way we did for devotions and family altars in our homes. You can also do the same and say or maybe they help people to like to do movie nights in their homes, or maybe they go outside. You can do the same and say at this particular time we shall be reading a book. Another way is to create reading clubs.
Okay.
Yeah, or book clubs.
At home or for people in our neighborhood?
We can get children who have similar interests. Actually, when you're talking about children, we're not talking about only those who are below 18 years.
Of course.
We are talking about even someone who is still under your control. Even if someone is 22.
22.
Yes. So we might talk of children, and people are only looking at children who are below 18 years. But we're talking about even those adults in your house. As long as they are your children, your biological children, or as long as you're one taking care of them, you're the guardian. You can encourage this student to form a book club with people around them who like reading, who have the same mindset, and you tell them there's this book and join this club, and this will help you to become a better reader, but also to learn good things which you may not be able to achieve on your own. So that could also be another way of helping children to read. Another way is also interesting them in online materials. If you don't have a library at home, your own library, interest them in online materials, because now we have a lot of online resources which are even free, that you can go, either you can download, and if you have capacity to print and bind, you can do that for your children. If you don't have, you can download a book and give it to, and just put it on their gadgets and say, there's this book, e-book, read about it. It's very good, because I'm sure that children who are more who like e-books than even the hard copies. So you can use that advantage, though you need to minimize the screen time, because it can affect them a lot. But also taking them to the libraries, to visit libraries. Yes. Because if you don't take them to these libraries and show them these materials, they will never know that even libraries are existing. Yeah. I also encourage them to visit the libraries at their own schools and look for these books. Or at the universities, there's so many books. So they don't just go to the library to read for academics or research, but let them read it as part of expounding on their knowledge and understanding, which will also actually enhance their skills when they are doing their research, when they are reading, because we say that it has a lot of skills that they can develop. Yeah.
Okay. I think you can also ask them, what are you reading, my son?
And that's another thing.
What are you reading these days?
Yes, what are you reading?
My daughter, which book are you reading nowadays?
And then they say, that will challenge them to read a lot.
That's it.
And actually, as they are reading, reward them. If you want to, if you see that they are struggling here and there, you can say, if we finish this book, if you finish this chapter in this given period of time, this is a reward.
As long as you first share with me what you read about.
What you read about.
So that he doesn't say, I
No. They have to share. Yes, because you have to know what you read and finish the book.
Yeah.
Yes. So as you come back home, say, so how was your reading? Can you take me through what you read today? And especially when they are looking forward to this gift, when you know there is a gift after reading this book, they will feel like, yes, I should finish this book. So the how you encourage them to read also matters at home. Yes, inspire them to read. Put some measures of making sure they keep reading and they love it, because since it's not a part of us, it can be a boring thing, especially if it's a big book. But I have these academics now again this. But when you say there's an attachment to that you're going to get after reading this book, there's something that you're going to go with. that can also encourage them to be good readers.
Yes. And one of the things I have personally done in my family is to quote unquote scatter books, litter the house with books.
With books.
So they move to their bedroom, they find a place for books.
For books, yeah.
They come to the sitting room, there is a whole shelf with many different books on business, on leadership, on marriage, on relationships, on entertainment, about music, about spirituality. The whole place is filled with books. So they always stumble on books. And
like,
it's
what is this?
And before you know it, you see my son just touch the book, touch it, look at it. Even if he doesn't open inside, he has read on the cover.
Yeah, on the cover.
That's it.
Yes.
For that moment,
Yes. Mm.
that's it.
That's it.
So making sure that books are accessible all over the home.
It looks something, as he reads this title, or maybe looks at the picture of the author and maybe reads one or two things, it looks like something, like not serious, but at the end of that day, that title can interest that child to say, by the way, I can become a better person. Now you've talked about the 7 pillars of love.
Yes. Finding your beloved marriage partner.
Yes. So say, okay, so I need to know what are those 7 pillars. One day they will have to look for that book.
Yeah.
Or they will not know what are those 7 pillars that I should know. So it's not that they're just passing them like anyhow like that. Like for me, what I also always make sure that every time I on Wednesdays, there's Toto in New Vision.
That pull out of the
pull out,
vision.
yes. I take them for them. There's a puzzle for them. So I always take them and say, and also one for finding words, another one is for crossing
the crossword puzzles.
Yes. So I always take this to them or the newspaper and say, oh, guys, there you are. Okay. And they like those things because they want to show that yes, we are very intelligent these days. So look for those things which trigger their mind, show that they are doing great things. The innovators, the inventors. For them, that's what they want to show you, Daddy. And I've now discovered all the words. They feel great about it.
Even for intellectual stimulation, for character development.
Of course, yeah, that's how it begins.
Happened today. Something happened today, quite an interesting one today afternoon. There are some 2 things my children wanted. So they asked me for those 2 things. And I took that as an opportunity. What I did was to say, well, I am going to give you only one of them. But you are the ones to decide. And there are 2. 2 children. So I said, now, for you, which one do you want? Do you want A or do you want B? She said A. What about you? He said B. I said, aha. Now, you have to debate so that you convince mommy and daddy that we should do the one you want, not the one your sister or your brother wants. We had an interesting debate this afternoon.
So now we see the decision-making abilities.
We had an interesting debate this afternoon as my daughter and my son were busy debating, ensuring that they convince mommy and daddy to go on their side so that I give them that for them they prefer. And at the end of the day, we actually did adjudication and we said, according to us, so and so is the one who has really convinced us about that thing, and so that is what we are doing as a family.
As a family.
And then they started to plan. It required some money, so we quickly wrote some budget very quickly.
And all these skills are imparting from one thing. Yes.
Oh yes. Meanwhile, now the other one was not feeling nice because the idea has not been taken on. But then I could see the energy, the effort that had been put in that debate. So after we were done with the budget, I said, now, in addition, whereas we are going to focus on this now, based on how I have seen this one really support the idea, we will also give it attention, but after this one. So let's now begin with this, and then so later, probably tomorrow, we will also come to this, and then you could see that there was some sort of
harmony.
Thankfully, my idea has not been dumped altogether. But then there was that intellectual conversation, stimulation, and all that.
Looking for ideas here and there, thinking through it.
Yes. And when I saw the words they were using, the explanation, they have been so much helped by the reading.
We have always had debates at home with our children. They direct debating, and they organize their own debates at home. And our eldest son likes to quote books here and there, according to this, and that gives you like some kind of inspiration to know that hey, so my children are really seeing what is happening in the world and they are more interested. If they are watching news, I will tell you according to what the president was saying the other day, this is how it should be, or like, so these are things that we should be intentional in doing in our families to help our children become better in whatever they're doing. And we should look at it from the holistic perspective, not just from one angle of academics excellence.
Okay.
Yes.
I realize that many of us, we love so much to be more entertained than educated. And there is nothing wrong with entertainment, especially if it is clean, inspiring entertainment. That said, however, I am not sure that we are doing ourselves and our future a service by spending much more time on being entertained than on being educated and equipped. We know that books are, very high up there concerning educating us, empowering us, and inspiring us. So briefly, what's your message to those parents who are in the habit of only giving their children gadgets for entertainment and not books for empowerment?
Education. I think we need to know that as we are giving these children all these gadgets around them, and we want them to be entertained and feel happy and feel excited about whatever you're doing for them. Remember the biggest challenge of addiction that comes with gadgets. That's one thing, which is more dangerous than the reading of books. But also remember, as you are doing all that, there's, especially when they are still very young, there's a lot of distraction that comes with these gadgets from whatever they are doing, and that helps, and that actually kills their concentration levels, which is different from when they are reading these books, especially for education. So I just pray that all parents should focus on doing all these things. As you're giving them gadgets, also balance with giving them books, because they may need both as you balance.
Yes.
Their life, to make sure that they have this and they have the other. So don't just lean on one side of the coin. Let all of them be put in your family. As you give them the gadgets, also give them books, and that's what you also help the parents to discover where the students' interests are. And how I wish that even as you're giving them those gadgets, let them be things to read. For example, if it's about, maybe if you can say, let me show you let me take you this YouTube and I show you this speaker and you learn the thing. Maybe let's go to YouTube and you learn about financial management. Maybe let's do this and you learn about this. So whatever we are doing, we can do them with these gadgets to help our children also acquire education.
Okay.
Through the gadgets than just entertainment, and they are watching things maybe sometimes which are not very good for them. They are learning things which are affecting their minds and affecting their intellectual ability. And before you know it, your child is not even performing very well in class because the mind is not well stimulated for education, but it's only for entertainment.
Yeah, that's very profound. That's important. And finally, how can a father develop a reading culture if he himself never even stepped in school, does not know how to read, is not a reader? How can that kind of a father develop a reading culture in his home? As we wrap up this,
if you're a father like me and you do not have that reading culture or habit, it's never too late.
You never went to school.
If they never went to school,
You don't know how to read as a father, but you have children.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. You have educated your children, and you like for example, for me, I have my aunt whom I grew with. She doesn't know how to read the Bible, but she would say from church they taught us, and they always know those scriptures. So we always read for her the Bible. She would say, "Come and read for me this Bible verse. I want to hear what it says." So even if you don't know how to read, you can still ask your children to read for you. But if you have children who are educated and maybe also know how to read and write, it's never too late. Learning is a process, and it's daily. Every day we are learning. So you can start slowly by slowly reading, looking for things that can interest your mind, and then you start reading things that you know are in alignment with your interests.
Okay.
And that will help you to develop this that habit of reading. Even a newspaper in your office or anywhere, you can read this newspaper and you start reading the newspaper and you look at these stories of the things that are happening around you. Before you know it, you develop that habit of becoming a better reader.
Awesome. In less than 1 minute, your parting shots as we close the program.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think all of us can become better readers. And if you feel for you it's maybe too late as a parent, at least begin this with your children. Let's start with your children And if you have never thought about it, that it's something very interesting and very serious, I think this is an opportunity for you to know that reading culture should be started in our homes. If you don't have books in your homes, start looking for those interesting books. Ask your children which books they would love to read, or which kind of topics or interesting stories they would love to read. And before you know it, they will tell you, we want this and that. And then start looking for those materials. If you don't know what to look for them, to get them from, go to supermarkets, go to bookstores, or just Google, or maybe look at these online sellers and ask if they have such a kind of resources, and have these things in your home. Start exposing your children to these things, and I assure you, your children are going to become better readers, and not only just better readers, but they are going to develop intellectually, even become better people in the society.
All right. Thank you very much, my brother Dickson.
I'm grateful for your opportunity.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard it all. We cannot continue with that culture where they say that if you want to hide something from an African, put it in writing. Not anymore. That cannot continue to happen. We can't continue to want to be more educated than, more entertained than educated. Remember, leaders are readers, and readers end up becoming leaders. And so now, I hope you were taking notes, and in case you were not, here is the 10-point program for developing a reading culture in your home. Point number 1, be a role model. Point number 2, create a home library. Point number 3, have family reading time, and you review what you have read. Point number 4, take your children to libraries and bookshops and wherever books are found. Point number 5, read stories for your children as often as possible. Point number 6, encourage the children to read. Point number 7, create a timetable for reading. And number 8, start a reading club or a book club. Number 9, interest them in online materials. And number 10, make books as accessible as possible in your home. Let them stumble on books. If you want to find my books, you can also go online and search for Samuel A. Bakutana, and you will find me, and we will talk. See all of you next month during the 39th intake of the Certificate in Public Speaking and Presentation Mastery at Sheraton Hotel. God bless you all. Let's live, love, and lead.
Just one wife. That you need the leadership skills of a general.
Yes.
To lead an army of one woman.
So we have to take a lot of pain, a lot of effort to teach children how to get along with one another.
Your raw material is money,
Of course.
but it is not your money.
It is not
That is
yours.
the biggest challenge. So if you do not fear God, you will end up misappropriating this money and taking it to be your own. Yet it is just what you're using to do the work that you're doing.
So ego is very dangerous to me, and we should avoid the extremes.
This program exists to equip, challenge, and empower men to expand their family leadership capacity for national transformation.